Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no presentations tonight. We have no public hearings tonight. We will offer an opportunity for the public to be heard if anyone would like to have something they want to bring up.
Yeah, I could ask a question and then I have a short statement I'd like to read.
Sure.
During the negotiations for the fort's assessment, the town did not come out on top on that. Are we appealing that decision?
Not presently. Because it involves litigation, there's not much I can say more than that right now, but we are not presently involved in an appeal process.
Okay, I heard some rumors, I don't know how true they are, that the
In Ticonderoga?
was trying to get even more property taken off their assessments. Do you know if that's true or not?
Because of the litigation involved, I really can't answer that one either. I'm sure you can, I'm sure you can understand that.
Yeah.
That's-
Okay. The town now has a golden opportunity to save money, and you do not even have to have a special vote about disbanding or reducing the police department. If Mariah can cover 2 shifts with 2 officers, why can't I do the same? I don't believe there is any less crime there than there is here. For years, I have asked town boards to use state police. Perhaps now that our local police department has themselves created this problem, this would be a good time to talk to state police officials and offer to give them a barracks building. At the very least, you should try to get along with a reduced force, and if it is against Chief John's contract to do a patrol work, then perhaps you should be named chief and Chief John should have a different designation so that he can do patrol work.
What I can tell you is that some of those considerations are already being discussed. The police commissioners have had a couple of meetings to try and come up with a strategy for what we're going to do, a new strategy for what we're going to do with our police force. It involves negotiations, it involves contractual
talks
stuff.
with I know this stuff doesn't happen overnight,
Yeah.
but the door has been open and it's been open wide and has not been opened by any board members who have to say they like the police department and have to say they don't like the police department. So nobody has been put on the hot seat.
Right.
It's been opened by the police department members themselves, by 3 of them just up and going like this, even though it was a golden opportunity and they should have the right to do that. We shouldn't be the training grounds, and you know that this is not going to be the last time it's going to happen. So while we have the opportunity and have this reduced force, I think you should try to work with it with your part-time officers that don't get the many benefits that a full-time officer would have to get. Maybe you can change designations. Instead of calling police officers, call them constables or something. Something has got to be done so that you can lower the cost, and by doing so, don't forget, you would lower the cost of the town's liability insurance too. If we didn't have our own police department, the town's liability insurance would be a heck of a lot less than what it is.
Understood. Anyone else have anything they'd like to bring up? Any other comments? In that case, we'll begin with our resolutions. The first of which is to accept the minutes from the last regular and special meetings of the board, or any corrections.
I'll make that resolution.
One second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 2 is to approve the water and sewer reports.
I'll make a resolution.
Motion. Second, please.
I'll second.
Second by Chatty. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item number 3, approval of the supervisor's monthly financial report. You have an attachment for that?
I'll make a resolution. Hate to be the only one making.
Was that a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, there we are. Made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution pay the bills.
I move we pay the bills.
I'll second that.
One thing I would like to bring up in discussion is that we noticed what appears to be, I don't know if anybody else saw, but there appears that we may have an issue with the electrical charges at the new PRB valve station. And if anybody else saw it, we caught it, we're looking at it, find out what's going on. It does seem to be high.
Yes.
Well, I was noticing, I was trying to add those up, and it looks like our electrical cost is 30,000 a month or 28,000 a month. It's high.
Somewhere in that.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
So
It is. You'll see it drop out through the summer months.
That's actually 20,000 less than what it has been the last December, January,
Yeah.
February.
And then it'll back up. We're
It's gonna be
still,
a very tight budget.
yeah, the other thing, we're still negotiating with National Grid about the streetlights, and there's still some concerns where the number that they have and the number that we have seem to be a bit out of whack, but we'll stay on it. We'll keep negotiating with them. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 5, a resolution to authorize the water department to purchase one 2014 Ford F-250 truck with accessories for the amount not to exceed $40,000. There's a quote attached. The quote is still being negotiated in a downward fashion. That's why the amount is not to exceed. And we have expectations that it will not exceed that by what might be a nice amount.
This is in their budget, they budgeted?
It is a budgeted item, yes.
Okay.
And we were using another town's contract.
Yes, it's called a piggyback arrangement. It is state contract, and Mr. Fuller has explained to us how to go about that so that it's a
Good done.
right way to do it. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
First and, I didn't get a first and second if that happened.
I'm sorry.
I'll
I'll
first.
make, oop, excuse me, go ahead. I'll make a
Don't let them
resolution.
too far, I'm just gonna sit back.
Fred?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have a resolution creating a temporary position for a laborer in the sewer department to do GIS mapping. The temporary term is June 12th through December 31st.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
You skipped over number 6.
I'm sorry.
To
Oh, I
actually
thought-
authorize the expenditure of that money for the truck.
Okay, you're right.
They kind of look the same, so. just-
Yes, I'm sorry. Comes with being Irish and not looking closely.
We got to expend it.
Okay. You know what karma is.
Don't want you to
Okay,
get
I'm
in
go-
trouble.
Resolution to authorize the expenditure from Water Department Capital Reserve account in the amount not to exceed $40,000 to purchase one 2014 Ford F-250 truck with accessories.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. And a second. Mr. President. Any more discussion?
Actually, I would for not making it do it.
We're down one man here, you're having trouble keeping up.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution to authorize, oh no, I guess we already did that. I'll do it again if you want, though. I just want to. Resolution creating a temporary position for laborer in the sewer department to do GIS mapping. The temporary term is June 12th, 2014 through December 31st, 2014.
So moved.
Move, we have a second?
I'll second it. What's the,
Any discussion?
Can you explain to
What's
me
the
the
pay?
importance of GIS mapping for why this is important for the sewer department?
Critical.
Critical, because it tells them the physical locations of the piping system for the sewer and stormwater in the town of Ticonderoga, and it puts it on an electronic registration that they can draw from anytime.
And so it creates a type of database that we always have then.
Yes, exactly.
So I guess one of the benefits is that if there's a change in personnel, it's not a person who's remembering it, it's something that we have.
Exactly. You have somebody retire, the information doesn't go with them, it stays in that database.
And everybody knows how to find them, or whoever needs to know.
Yeah,
is this labor qualified to be able to?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
His wages?
That'll be in the next.
Oh, okay, my apologies.
Any more comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A resolution to hire Mike Urbana in the sewer department for 450 hours at $10 per hour, assignment labor, position laborer, status temporary.
And he's being hired for this position we just discussed.
Yes, he's an intern that was here last year that did the same work for us. Is he an engineering graduate or an engineering student?
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Last year was part of his on the job type of thing. This year, I think he actually graduated and he's finishing up.
Okay,
That's why they really wanted to get him back to
I'll
it,
make
because he'd
that
already
resolution.
started the project.
right. And he's excellent, very
I'll make that
qualified,
resolution.
man.
I'll second.
Made and seconded. Any other discussion?
I think we're lucky to get that expertise at $10 an hour.
We certainly are.
Yes.
We really are. All in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Number 9, resolution to offer employment to Danielle Drinkwine in the codes office for 25 hours a week at $10 per hour. The assignment is non-competitive, position clerk, and the status is part-time.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolution to offer employment to Anna Ryan for the summer program. Assignment laborer, position food service helper, the status is seasonal.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. We have a second?
I'll
You got a
second
second.
it, but I also have a question.
Okay, question.
How many people does that put, no, does that put 2 or 3 people in the kitchen?
I believe that puts 3.
It puts 3, and it's the one, there was a question at our last meeting. They only had 2, and this gives us a third.
We don't pay for any of the
This is
chambers. This is
free.
completely reimbursable. In other words, we do pay, but then it's 100% reimbursed through the ag, through the county.
Pardon me.
And it's the same individual. They've been running 3. And they thought this year they might cut back to 2 because school enrollments are decreasing and whatnot, but the enrollment in our summer program is actually increasing. So they're going to well need having the third person.
John's saying it's 2.
I have 3 fingers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't see the metal when you had to hit. My apologies.
Ryan,
Yeah, I need some better glasses.
can I have that box of tissue? We'll clean up what he's wearing there.
Yeah, I need it. Oh, my. Look at them glasses. No wonder.
There you go, no wonder you can't see. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter into a renewal contract with public sector HR. And you have a contract attached. It's significantly less than it was last year. That's because the big chunk of work, the new handbook and the new drug policy, thank you, were completed, and we won't have to do that again for a while. There may be some minor adjustments and tweaking, but the heavy lifting is over.
Great.
That's the difference in the amount of the contracts. Resolution, please.
Yeah, some of them.
Second.
I'll second it.
So these would be people you'd call if you have issues with this contract or want something defined or anything like that? Is that
Yeah,
what this
any
folks do?
personnel, any formal personnel questions.
Yes, good.
They,
That's what
they
we,
take care of it.
yeah. Thanks.
So they're essentially, we really don't have a personnel department, so there are personnel, I know we have a person who does that part-time, but,
No, actually, we have 2 people that are involved in the personnel at the town level. And then these people are the professional backup to that.
When we went to the Association of Towns, they were doing like 150 towns for these things, so they have a lot of depth when you have a question on this stuff. They see, that's what you're looking for.
they gave a good presentation
Yeah.
here
Oh,
last week to the.
good
Yeah,
point.
extremely good. Extremely good. Did we get a motion yet, Tom?
Yes.
We did. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See, I asked that time.
Yeah. What you do.
Resolution making certain determinations in relation to the town of Ticonderoga sewer system improvements pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617 seeker. The full resolution is attached.
Courtesy of the floor to our attorney.
Thank you. I'm glad you're going to try and explain this because I don't.
Actually, the copy that is attached is incorrect.
Oh, okay.
Somehow, and it's my fault, I just looked at the email, I attached the one that the county sent us, not the one I revised. So what we're doing is, for the GIGB project and the related work, there's a couple projects that are in there, basically stormwater work that we're doing, we have to go through the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And since we're in Ticonderoga, we have a lot of historic properties and things. Part of the project runs along this property, or touches this property.
Yes.
And this is a historic site, registered, things like that. So for seeker purposes, what we have to do is, we're going to declare it a type 1 action. That means that it's on the seeker type 1 list. Those actions are more prone to have an adverse environmental impact. I don't think this one will, but it's on that list. The second part of it is we've got to coordinate the review with all other involved agencies. So here we've got EFC, DOT, DEC, acronyms all over the place, the APA,
SHPO.
Department of Health, SHPO, Army Corps. So what we will do
Archaeological.
is we will send out, we will send out a copy of the full environmental assessment form to all of those agencies, along with a little report that Todd has already put together on the scope of the projects. And tonight we will deem ourselves or express our desire to be lead agency, meaning that at the expiration of 30 days, so next month, we will get together, go through that environmental assessment form, and if nobody else has objected to us being lead agency, and I don't expect anybody to, we would then make a determination of significance as to whether or not we think this project is going to have an impact on, or a negative impact on, or adverse impact on the environment. The project is part of the daylighting project. We're taking some stormwater infrastructure that is right now underground and daylighting it, meaning it'll see light before it actually hits the river or the lake. So EFC, the state, have been really pushing those because what you get is you get a level of pretreatment. So stormwater and things that get caught in our basins that carry sand, dirt, nutrients will settle out into a basin first and then slowly end up down into the river. And they've been big on this because as it is right now, we just discharge directly to those. And we've got a combined sewer system in many parts of the town. So our sanitary and our stormwater are combined. Part of this project will also separate those. And so what that will do is it will cut down the flow that is going to your plant. But the bigger part of it is it will also help alleviate where CSO overflows. So when we get a storm event, probably like today, I would imagine we had a CSO event where part of our infrastructure in the ground, there are weirs or basins in place where when the water level gets high enough, it kicks over these, and instead of going to our plant for treatment, it goes directly to the water. And so DEC, EPA's initiative is to cut down on those things. So this project will do a lot of those things. It'll separate that storm water away because it doesn't need to be treated through your plant. You're wasting, chemicals, those little bugs that are in there, and electricity to treat this stuff. So that'll give you more capacity in your plant, and it'll also help alleviate those storm events when water kicks over and hits the river untreated. So long story short, that's the purpose of the resolution, is to kick that process off. You guys know we've been through a lot of back and forth with EFC. This will put us on the target deadline to get all of our work done for later in August, so we can hit that next round of funding for the grant with EFC.
So
Thank you.
do we have an idea of how much water we expect it'll take out of the system?
No, that's a really good question. It's kind of an after the fact thing. What you'll find is, hopefully, the plan would be to, because it's combined, you don't really, unless you do a whole CAD model of the whole drainage area of the town, you don't really know. How you will figure it out is flow events. So when Tracy sees at the headworks of the plant that X million gallons are coming in a rainstorm now, and this is one of a couple of projects over the next year or two, hopefully you get these projects, pull that stormwater off, and that number is hundreds of thousands less. I mean, it can, groundwater, ionized filtration into those pipes is really a huge problem for a whole system. So in Todd's or done the engineering, but it looks like the number would be pretty measurable.
I have another question. We were awarded a GIGP grant. Is this?
This is it.
This
This is it.
And so we're still on track.
Yeah. This and another part. We're doing a couple of projects with it. We're going to go through the secret review for both of them, and they'll branch off. EFC will take their part, and we will be able to go ahead with our part. And but we'll do them all as one project at the end of the day.
Good. Thank you.
So moved.
So are
We already
we're able to
both
do
have
this?
We moved it.
As a type of-
You read it, and then you gave it right to Matt. We haven't voted on
We
it.
didn't,
No,
oh, I'm
because
sorry.
he started explaining it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said they couldn't.
It's his fault.
So
No, he needed to explain that.
Yeah.
Moved by Mr. Juliano. We have a second?
I'll second.
So so we're not,
We're not doing, this original, actually, I'll explain the difference. The original resolution that was drafted declared the action type 2. And with a type 2 action under seeker, no further environmental review is required. You can generally classify something type 2 when you're just replacing pipes or things like that. This is part of that, but there is some additional work that falls outside of that type 2 list, I think. And that either makes it unlisted, which is everything else that's not type 1 or type 2, or if it hits that type 1 list, then it's type 1.
And the meaning of type 1 again is?
That's a list that DEC has put out in the seeker regulations that mean it has the potential to have a more adverse impact. So in our instance, when you're dealing with projects that are contiguous or substantially contiguous to a historic property,
Okay.
well, that could have a potential impact on that property. You got to take a closer look at it.
Okay.
Here, it's still an environmental benefit project, so my impression is I don't think it's going to have an adverse impact, but we'll go through that exercise after we hear back from everybody. So this original resolution said type 2. We talked about it, it was incorrect. We're properly classifying it as type 1 moving forward.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolution authorizing a transfer from contingency to economic development for the amount of $20,000 to pay the contractual obligation to Ticonderoga EMS.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, do you want to do that other transfer thing?
We can do them at the end.
Okay, very good. We'll go to reports of committees. And we'll start with the water and sewer. The water and sewer committee meeting was held May 28th. The GIGP grant was discussed. The project is moving forward, as we just said, took action tonight on a portion of it. We expect it to continue to move on schedule. The water supply project was brought up, and it was announced that the Department of Health has indicated that we should not proceed with the rehabilitation of Lake George water supply at this time. And we're not taking action on what the Department of Health said. There are several issues involved. One is that the very type of filter Ticonderoga is proposing to use is the exact same type that the village of Lake George uses and has used for several years. And we can see no reason that we shouldn't proceed with it. And other engineering firms other than the Department of Health, not being an engineering firm, but basing their criteria on engineering data, there's definitely a disagreement there, and that will work out as time goes on.
I was of the understanding that we wouldn't be actually taking this plant down to change the filtration type until we had another water source to put online to replace it, no?
That is the intent and the direction we propose to go in. But we in no way plan to abandon it. And as long as there's continued difficulties with the well site, the well company is due back in to proceed with that portion of the project. And we would like to see that in place before the Lake George project, Lake George portion is completed or tackled. But we are not going to abandon that Lake George
Right, yeah.
entity. We hired a OSHA specialist to come and look at the the old underground PRV vault on Racetrack Road that FEMA has had a great deal of issue with, proclaiming it not to be a safety violation and whatnot. And the expert that we hired to come and look at it completely disagrees with the FEMA designation and gave us a report stating such. That's been forwarded to the engineers and will be forwarded to FEMA, and hopefully that will generate some action by them, and that action will be to reimburse us for the money that we're owed. We're waiting on the hardship, the EFC hardship application to continue with other parts of the water project. And we did receive Army Corps approval for a portion of the Chilson transmission main. So that's another hurdle out of the way. The wastewater treatment plant has been operating on a regular basis with no significant issues. We talked about the DEC correspondence with the sewer outflow annual report. Came with a checklist of 22 pages and 7 days to get it done. Obviously, we've requested a bit of an extension on that. There will be the annual meeting of the Black Point Sewer District coming up later this month. There is a new sewer connection, which is being done as a service contract on Baldwin Road. We're adding another sewer user. The sewer main slip lining, the subcontractor has cleaned the main to be slip lined on John Street, and that's due to take place in the next 10 or 15 days, I believe. That's due up right away. Let's see. That's about, there was one other issue that came up that we need to talk about. I guess it may as well come up during water and sewer. We have an issue on Coates Point with some septic systems that are failing, and we have an individual that is looking to get a building permit in place to construct a new home there. And the consensus is that for him to try and build another individual septic that's probably going to be extremely difficult to do because of the size parcel of land that they have and the type of soils that they have. We're going to approach the association with the fact that they have systems in failure. Because of that, they need to jointly, there's a homeowners association involved, and we feel that they need to come together and either come forward with a joint septic plan or possibly joining to the sewer district or the Ticonderoga sewer service with a plan designed by an engineer, designed by a professional engineer, that will eliminate the failed septics that are there. It'll protect the lake. It'll protect the town's water source. And it's a situation that it was discovered a year or more ago, and it kind of got left by the wayside, and it needs to be addressed. And the person that has come forward to try and secure the building permit has triggered that new building permit has alerted the town to the fact that nothing was done in the past to correct this situation, and it needs to be taken care of, and it needs to be taken care of now. And, there's a resolution that Mr. Fuller has prepared for the board, and I'll let him explain that part of it. But it takes action by the board, it takes action by the building department, the codes department. We have had discussions with Department of Health. We have a letter in hand from Department of Health stating that the systems are in failure. The Adirondack Park Agency is somewhat involved. The waterkeeper, Lake George Waterkeeper is somewhat involved, and they're all supporting the same position for the town. So,
Thanks. After I sent out my report on following the things we've been working on, Bill and I talked, and what I've got here is I've got some copies of the September 2013 letter from the Department of Health that really identifies the failures in this system. That Kevin it was that wrote the letter. Yeah, Kevin was out there and did an inspection. And so the town board has the ability, sitting as the local board of health, to take action under the public health law, the sanitary code. In my tenure, we haven't had to do that. Everybody's been pretty much cooperative. We had to send letters every now and then, but we haven't really had to sit as the board of health. So what I've done, you have to do two things. One, you have the ability to order, you have the ability to enforce. You have pretty strong power sitting as the board of health. So what we did is prepared a resolution to order Bill, whoever he designates, to conduct a dye test, and they can do multiple color dye tests of the systems. A property owner cannot deny someone designated by the local board of health access to their property for purposes of a dye test to confirm whether or not the septic is failing, and also what properties are tied to it. So you get a bunch of different colors and put them in each soil, flush the toilet and wait, and see if it surfaces. If it doesn't, you have a problem. If it does, and you know what colors, if it was a blue one and a yellow one, you got green, well, you know the blue and the yellow house did it, in orange and red and all different colors. So that basically is the process. Again, I've got copies of the letter for you. I did draft up a resolution today after talking with Bill to do two things. That, direct the dye test, and two, you'll have the findings of that. We have to offer the property owners the opportunity to appear before this board and be heard. So that's what this does, and probably the one question would be how quick you want to do it, in terms of like your later monthly meeting or something like that, and how quick the public hearing notice would be able to be published if they did want to do it at the end of the month. And the last part I would suggest, again, we haven't had to do this in years, probably I would throw on the beginning of your agenda every month, local board of health. If you don't need to use it, you don't need to use it. But then it's there. You have to always have it there. You can do it for both of your meetings and just leave it there. Kind of like we do public hearings if we need them, or executive session if needed. You would leave the local board of health right on your agenda going forward. So that's really the short of it. Here, let's pass out copies of this letter. And if anybody else wants a copy, I did bring a few extras. I know Bill's got it. I brought a copy here. Too fast now. There's some extras I might want to see. I got one extra. Oh, it's there. I emailed it to you today. And the second part, I didn't know this, I'm used to that, you haven't seen it, but I just did it, is a resolution. Again, I like to drop things on the table, I leave a bill and just talk about it. There's a resolution. So the resolution just goes through your powers as the local board of health. Do what we usually do. I can read it to you. There's a couple of resolves underneath it. Resolved that the town board, sitting as the local board of health, hereby determines the potential issues identified in the findings of the Department of Health and is noted by local code enforcement, in particular, the likelihood of failing septic system in extremely close proximity to the waters of Lake George can and potentially would constitute a public nuisance and a threat to public health, safety, and welfare. And be it further resolved that the town board, sitting as the local board of health, does hereby direct that notice be sent by the town supervisor or his designee to the property owners in the development known as Coates Point, containing the following orders. Order that the septic system in the Coates Point development be dye tested by suitable and appropriate means to identify the properties which discharge to the septic system in Coates Point, and to identify which, if any, portions of such system are or may be failing. And be it further ordered that the owners in the Coates Point development be provided an opportunity to be heard by the town board, sitting as the local board of health, at a public hearing to be held on, and I left that blank, of course, at the offices of the town of Ticonderoga, 132 Montcalm Street, Ticonderoga, New York. Couple typos. And be it further resolved that the violation of an order of the local board of health can be a violation of the public health law and punishable as such. And be it further resolved, this resolution shall take effect immediately. So really, it's just a timing thing on, I did, I sent that to you in time. There is an order that I drafted as well, as you can imagine, follows the same languages in the resolution, because you don't want to mismatch your language. And we'll have a copy of that Department of Health letter stapled to it. So I think the question for you at this point is, there was some back and forth. From what I understand, I wasn't directly involved in it, but there was some back and forth discussion, with the property owners as far as taking a look at this, addressing it. And I don't think, to put it kindly, it was an acceptable response that you got from them.
No, I wouldn't put it that strongly. It was, initially, there were 5 or more individuals in the Coast Point group that were talked to, and they were all in favor. When the park agency, I'm going to back up a step, when the park agency reviewed this, they made a determination that the original subdivision the original permit was never filed and was thus null and void. I had a discussion with them today about that, and we're not quite sure how they have the ability to declare it null and void.
But it's 2 issues. It was declared null and void by a judge.
Yes.
That was a challenge by a property owner. But then the follow-up issue is, how come they didn't do anything after?
Yeah, that's saying it better than I can, thank you. But regardless of that, the park agency is willing to step in and take a position. We'll see, we're still having give and take. But when that happened, the 5 that were involved, 4 of them said, well, if there's no issue with the APA, we're not going to pursue it. And the one gentleman that he's the individual that's looking to build a new house and has no septic, failed or otherwise, he needs a permit. And that was when the determination was made that the soils and conditions there's a common piece of ground that is jointly owned by all the residents, the 11 residents of the subdivision. And this gentleman will get 1/12 of that piece of common ground, and it's the opinion of most that I have talked with that I would consider qualified to make that determination, that 1/12 of the area available in that common ground is insufficient space for a septic system. That being the case, there's also the opinion that the complete piece of ground, if they all tried to join together and to develop one septic system that would accommodate this gentleman's new and their failed systems, it's not, the entire area is not large enough to accommodate all of them, no matter what they do anyhow, which leaves them really only one reasonable alternative, and that is to go to the town sewer. There was last summer, there was a route picked out for this sewer line that upon further investigation by some people with experience in the building industry, it was determined that there may be a significantly easier route to go, which would be more cost-effective for them, which I think would have an impact on the people that decided, that opted out of the possibility of joining sewer. I think it may change some opinion there. And I don't think any of these people are out to pollute Lake George or pollute their own wells or pollute the town's water source. And I've spoken with a member of the Coast Point Association. They have a meeting the 5th of July, which we're trying to get our work done by the 5th of July so that they are aware of all the implications before their meeting. They can digest it and discuss it and make a decision as to how they want to come forward with it. And that's where we're at.
That's a good plan. And what I would recommend is that we date the public hearing part for your July meeting.
That's
Because then it would come after that. I think it's perfect time. You get the dye test, give them the information, because ultimately, either they would have to design an alternative or the town would design an alternative, and it can be billed back to the property owners under the public health law.
Well, we've had some discussions about that, and it would be much better if they do their design and build and then present it to the town.
I couldn't-
Otherwise, if the town designs it and builds it, it's all going to be prevailing wage and very expensive to do. They can do it without getting into all that expense.
And that would not circumvent public bid because it's a private issue.
It's a private issue, so build it, dedicate it to the town. They have a no-cost district that comes in with no debt. They'll still have a user fee and a maintenance fee, like everyone. But the debt will be separate, it will not be part of the town.
So it would have to be built to town specifications.
It would have to be built to town specifications, exactly.
How many homes are we talking about, and how much
11.
is 11?
11
11.
plus one potential new one, right?
A total of 11.
Well, total of 11.
Total of 11.
What were they told it would cost to do this? Did
I don't believe they have a figure yet. Other than-
do we have a figure?
No,
We don't have a figure.
no.
So
We have
we're-
figures, we have estimates on the cost of septics, if they were to try and build them. Okay, an individual would be 28, 29 and up, depending on the number of bedrooms per residence. And to try and build one centrally would be hundreds of thousands. The sewer line, I haven't really given a lot of thought to the cost involved, but I know it would be significantly less than that, especially done by private means.
I was just curious because we're passing something here, forcing these people to do something. We don't know what it's going to cost them to do this. We don't know what their impact's going to be.
That's true, okay? But the alternative is that Coates Point sits right next to our water source. Those systems are in failure. It's not a matter of, even with the dye test, okay? If you have an extremely dry period, the dye test may show nothing. But we had an engineer on site when it wasn't a dry period, and the letter states that there was visual evidence of failed septics. Septics don't heal. They don't get better. When they fail, they're in failure all the time. Now, whether they find a different source for the effluent to travel in underground so that it isn't seen or whatever, they're still in failure. And they're in failure next to our water supply. I know we treat, and I know our outflow is fine and dandy. Let's keep it that way. That's what this is for.
And the reality is, if we have a known sanitary public health nuisance, we actually can't turn an eye to it. There's liability. We don't know about something, that's one thing. We do.
Yeah. This was, you know, this, I was amazed to find the letters from last year and whatnot, that they go back to 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That I was surprised to find the documentation that's in place, and
The DAPA knows they're failed and didn't do anything about it, really surprised.
Well, no, actually,
they did, but then rescinded their order because of
they
the,
lost the lawsuit.
because they lost a lawsuit to Sandy Lewis, and they're afraid of where they tread.
The lawsuit was the LARA with the EPA. All EPA permits have to be filed within 62 days. If they don't, they
Well,
become
that
null
was,
and void.
that was part of it, and the other is,
The issue you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the EPA tried to enforce a permit that hadn't been filed yet. And so they were trying to enforce an unenforceable permit. So that's the reality, is if you get a permit from the EPA and you don't file it, they cannot enforce it.
Yeah.
Because it's void. You have to start back at square one.
and yet they turn around and say that
When-
if you go to rebuild a septic system on Coates Point, it falls under EPA jurisdiction now. But the old ones don't, because, I mean, it's a legal nightmare.
Yeah.
I guess I just had a problem with forcing somebody to do something that I don't know what their repercussions are gonna be. You're gonna do this, I don't know what it's gonna cost, but you're gonna do it because you have to do it. I guess that's the reality.
Well, they've got a choice. They've got a choice. They can replace the septics, or try to, okay?
Or turn the water on. That's what they can do. That's the no
Or not use it.
action alternative.
They cannot
No.
pollute, they cannot run open polluting systems.
Yeah.
That's not allowed. And that's not us ordering to do that, that's state law.
So
Now, you-
the next step to check every house on Lake George? Where's
These
this
were
gonna go?
known
I
to
just,
There's a great-
I'm just wondering where this is all going.
These
you
were
know?
known
Well,
to
this
fail.
is
It's
not,
like we're not just.
you may think this is never done, and not, you know, it's an unusual, it's not. It's not. It happens a lot.
Oh, yeah. They did it to South End, they changed the color of the lake. Yeah, I know. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
You know what I'm saying? If we're liable, if we don't do it, then we don't have any choice at this point, but it just bothers me a little bit, the way it's,
Well, I
so be it.
It, you know,
It's fortunate that
We would have our
the
defenses.
sewer line goes so
Yeah,
close to there, so
I know.
that it's possible for them to even connect. Really.
Yeah.
If it were 10 years ago, they wouldn't have that option.
That's a good point.
so I'd be looking for someone to move the resolution.
And to set the public hearing on July 10th at 6 o'clock, which is next town board meeting. And don't forget to do that.
Well, what's the procedure?
Yeah.
Do we include the public hearing in the resolution?
Yep. It's in there. It's the last order.
Okay.
Because that's going to go.
July.
Order that goes to.
Yep.
July 10th, you said?
July, I believe it's July 10th, next time we'll be at 6 o'clock.
Yep. 10.
I'll make the resolution. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
The resolution is what? To have the public hearing on the 10th?
Put an
Well,
order.
we're gonna send the order.
We're not shutting anything down. What we're doing is the dye test.
The dye
and
test.
Allowing them an opportunity, once they get that, to come in.
On July
That's the
10th,
resolution you
6
read.
We're not shutting down based on the outcome of that, then you may take different action. But this is just a preliminary first step. If it, for example, if it was an immediate thing, and right now it's out there doing it, then the Board of Health has the duty to immediately take action,
What if these homeowners aren't here right now?
to give them notice, get a notice.
I'm going to send them a notice
Yeah.
to their
I mean, they might
mailing
not be here
address.
right now. It's just,
Yeah.
But their mailing addresses
point.
on my records,
Yes.
so they will get that.
okay.
Well, as Bill said, they're having an association meeting. which
Just
is
mean
part-
everybody's here.
Sure.
Oh, they'll,
But,
Yeah, that's,
okay.
any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Just clarify, too, that resolution doesn't commit you to taking later action. They do commit and say, we're going to have a plan, and the board can permit that. So you're going to chain yourself to some course of conduct.
That, I didn't tell you when our next meeting is, I'm sorry. Next meeting is scheduled for June 24th at 8:30 in the morning. We'll go to operation efficiency. Jackie?
we had a meeting on May 22nd, 1 o'clock in this room. And I think we talked a little bit about the street lighting, and Chief Johns reported that the police department has surveyed 67 non-functioning street lights, and that was reported to National Grid for repair and adjustment to the town billing. And I'm not sure who reported that. Is that
They have a form to say fax rate to National Grid.
someone did that directly? So then they'll also be working on looking at some other streetlights that maybe we no longer need. And this is part of trying to get that lighting expense down to something, it's still going to be incredibly high, but maybe we can chip away at it. They're getting some of these areas that were built that we really don't need to have the lights there. We had some talk about the transfer station and how our contract is expiring in October. And the town will be, I know this is for a later discussion, but the town will be pursuing RFP possibly for that in the future. We had a spring cleanup, and I guess this is, since we're talking about a fall cleanup, and, well, maybe in buildings and grounds. Are you going to talk about the spring cleanup, Dave?
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to, John's here, John Bartlett's here. I wanted to give some recognition to the people who worked on our spring cleanup. There are a lot of donated man hours. Downtown includes Ticonderoga School District kids, Kiwanis, Ticonderoga Montcalm Street Partnership members, the Chamber, just lots of volunteers. They did a lot of sprucing up downtown. Residents were able to put out their trash, and the highway department picked it up. So it really, there was painting of light poles, scraping and painting of railings. So it really helped to spruce up the town after a long winter. And we started discussion on a fall cleanup that would be potentially white goods, such as large appliances and motor vehicles. And we'll be talking about that more at our next meeting. John, did you have anything you wanted to add about this? Because you were really involved in organizing that.
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, thank you. And that's pretty much it about operations efficiency.
Thank you. Buildings, grounds, parks, and recreation.
Yeah, short. Buildings and Grounds Parks met on May 18, 2014. We talked about the conduit at the park that you just spoke about, Bill. That, we need to get 2 more bids, and we need to get something done with that. It's exposed now, it's dangerous. We have July 4th coming up, and we have got to figure out how to get this thing handled, so we are working on that. You can help me with it, thank you. The fuel oil tank at the Armory is passed. We just had to have a pressure test done by the DEC, so we're good for a couple more years, but we are still pursuing removing the tank and either replacing it or possibility of alternate fuel sources there. The lights in fall are now up and operating through the hard work of a group of volunteers. I love when the volunteers come in and do all this work, it's so cool. Leading that group was Joyce Cooper and Bob Dietrich, and all the rest of the Dietrichs were there. There was a lot of people there, our people, Kirk Schenk, all those guys. I mean, just great group of people, but they're up, they're running. Thank you very much to everybody.
Bob's son Eric did the
Yeah.
wiring,
Yeah,
and
that's
Tom
the Dietrich
Dietrich
clan.
used
They're great.
his lift truck.
The bathroom facility at the park has been painted finally. Joyce has been on me for a couple of years. We finally got together and the prisoners did it and it really looks good. The volleyball area was scraped. That was Mike's idea, put sand in it, so it's a sand volleyball court now. Real nice. The prisoners did a lot of that work and the area looks great. The dedication was made, the new pavilion, built by now Eagle Scout Matt Cook on Saturday the 7th. It was organized by Chatty. He did a great job. It's a beautiful day, and the structure is just magnificent. You folks get a chance, you need to go out and take a look at this thing. This man did a great job, this young man, for our town. It's just fantastic. Since we are not proceeding with some of the projects outlined in this year's Parks project, there was a lot of money in there for paving and stuff that we're looking at changing the way we do that. I was curious if we can use some of the money. They had asked about the Little League backstop for the kids on Park 1. If you guys are okay with me using some of the money to put that backstop up on Field 1. That's been requested for a couple of years.
I thought they were doing that.
No, that's the yellow perimeter. They are doing that on Field 2 and Field 3. We got that done this year. That was our insurance company asked us to do that. This backstop, these kids are able to put the ball over the backstop that's there now, and our parking area can't be utilized because the balls are going into where the cars are. It's just an addition to the backstop that's there and netting to protect the people and to protect the cars that are back there. So they've been working on that. So, but we have money in our budget that we haven't used, and I'd like to move it that way if we can. We have 3 bids on it. We're doing it.
So how much is that going to cost? Just curious.
Just a ballpark.
Different thing, pretty close to 4,000.
Okay.
You need a resolution for that?
I don't need a resolution for $4,000. What I wanted you to know is that this is not budgeted the way the budget was for parks. I knew that's right? But it's under $5,000. But I wanted to make you aware before I spend that kind of money, what I was doing, because it wasn't outlined in my budget. So, are we okay with that? Is that okay, Tanya?
Well, I don't know where it is in your budget, and if it's specifically set for paving, we just have to do a do-to-do.
Yes,
So I have to
yes.
finance maybe move that over
Mm-hmm.
to adjust it into the rate, so I'll ask.
Okay.
Amy.
Ask Amy to do that, yeah. I just want to see if the board was good with it before I made that move. Okay, I will handle that, thank you. My next meeting is Tuesday, June 17th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, David. Economic development.
The May meeting for economic development was postponed because so many people just couldn't make the meeting, so it is rescheduled for June, oh gosh.
I can't
I don't know if it's important. Is anybody interested in knowing when it's rescheduled? I can check it. It's for next week, I believe it's next Thursday, which might be the 19th, something like that.
Should be just about that, yeah.
I did have the opportunity to attend an Adirondack Economic Development Strategy Workshop. This is a group of people from the Adirondacks that represented several Adirondack towns who have been working on a plan for for economic development, and it wasn't just about tourism, but it was determined that tourism is really dominant in the Adirondacks, and it's growing. So it was to look at opportunities outside of Lake George, Lake Placid, and Saranac Lake, so that kind of looks at opportunities for our area. I've also been involved in the Destination Master Plan, as Bill has, which is also looking at tourism on a regional basis, where we'll be working with Hague, Crown Point, Putnam, and Mariah on creating more of a destination so that people aren't just coming here for one thing. If we can show that there's a number of things to do in the area, then we're more likely to have visitors who will come and stay a while. And that's pretty much what I have to report. Oh, and part of economic development, the arts are seen as being good for tourism, and our Cultural Arts Initiative is working on bringing many, or really reporting on the events and festivals that are being held in July and August, and creating a rack card so that visitors and residents can easily see what's going on. The other thing that has happened is that two arts organizations have merged, or are in the process of merging, Thai Arts and the Downtown Gallery. So this will, I think that they'll be able to bring bigger and better events, and it'll also put our town in a better position when we're applying for arts grants. That's it.
Thank you. The airport.
Airport. Okay. Met on June 3rd. As far as the fuel system, we're still waiting on the FAA to release the money. This is for all the different projects that are going on. They haven't released the money, not just ours, but Jim Shoemaker, our engineer, says they are moving closer to doing that. That's what's held that up right now. Something I wanted to bring up was we have a hangar at the airport that the gentleman purchased and went into a 5-year agreement. The agreement was for $1,200, which would go up after 5 years. We hit that 5 years where that thing could go up to $2,500, okay? But in the last 5 years, this gentleman has saved us quite a bit of money out there at the airport. This is Ernie we're talking about, Ernie Tobin's in the audience. But he's helped us set the landing fee for aircrafts. He actually has worked with the fees, put a form together so pilots could send money to Tanya, and work with the pilots that land so they know what the landing fees are and how they work. Removes the snow around the hangars, the entrance to the airport, he shovels it out. I mean, this is just what he does. He posts now, he's able to post the NOTAMs to airmen for the FAA. NOTAMs are notice to airmen, so the runway would be the last thing to get plowed. If it turns to ice, we can tell the FAA that our runway isn't as safe. Pilots fly at their own risk, but they also have to, they should call before they fly, and then they'll know our runway's ice. It's just another level that helps us out. But he's been helping us by collecting data for the fuel fees and handling of the taxes. He's good friends with the other airports, the surrounding airports, so they work together and bring that back to us. It's a real help in some of this stuff. Maintains the pilot break room at the airport. He built that break room in his hangar, and that's for any pilot that lands. So that's actually part of the hangar that he's renting now. Notifies the town of the gate issues. He's actually been out there fixing the gate. We've been fixing the gate. I mean, he doesn't, and he also keeps track of the aircrafts that are landing and staying overnight, to make sure they pay. It's a notice on their window. I mean, does quite a bit out there. I guess what I'm requesting is that the town of Ticonderoga extend the rate of $1,200 per year for another 5 years, instead of raising it to $2,500, the way the contract reads now. And the reason I would consider that would be some of the reasons I just mentioned. He does more than that, actually. So that's what I'm asking.
So who owns the hangar? We do, or he does?
Ernie leases the hangar, which is interesting because he leases the hangar from the Ticonderoga, but you still pay property taxes?
I lease the footprint.
Courtesy of the floor, Ernie, otherwise Tanya's going to beat me up. Just 1 second, Ernie. Somebody second that?
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ernie, I'm sorry.
I lease the footprint of land, about 4,000 square feet from the town. And I built the hangar myself at no expense to the town. The lease fee in the contract that we drew up for the first 5 years was supposed to be $1,200 a year. $1,200 per year. At the beginning of year 6, which starts this month, the fee as written in contract was going from the $1,200 to $2,500 per year. So now we're getting into a situation that between the lease fee of $2,500, along with the town tax, the school tax, the county tax, I'll be paying the town 70% of my annual gross receipts. No business, big or small, can stand that kind of a hit. So what I'm asking is, after having done some research, I mean, those are the numbers, but having done some local research, other hangars, in fact, there's only one other hangar, as a matter of fact, in Essex County that is privately owned, sitting on town land, and that's at North Elk, Lake Placid Airport. They just renewed the contract last year in 2013 for that hangar at a fee of $1,000 per year. So, you know, I'm saying we're pretty close to that as it stands now with the $1,200. I'm asking that you consider just let's continue at the $1,200 per year.
I think if you talk to Mike, you'd find out how much time he saves him from going up there. I think Mike Parent would tell you.
What was the time frame you were talking about?
Sir?
The time frame for the lease?
June 1st it renews, right?
But the extension?
Well, I said 5 years, I threw it out there. That naturally is up to us to decide. All this is up to us to decide.
How many planes could you serve in that hangar?
Well, see, that's what makes this situation, I think, a little unique. You know, if I was selling hamburgers or something, well, you know, we could sell more hamburgers maybe, or start selling chicken sandwiches or something. But the hangar only holds 3 aircraft. So I mean, I'm restricted to revenue just from the rentals, and I'm already above the local competition. My rentals are in the $300 a month range. For example, Lake Placid is at $250 a month. Saranac Lake is at $288. Nobody in Essex County is greater than we are here in Dye. So, you know, the first thing people say is, well, you just need to raise your rent. Well, you know, this isn't, you know, Glens Falls or Albany or something. I mean,
The market is the market.
It is what it is.
We've got an issue with the beacon. He's actually helping me contacting the FAA with where to place the beacon placement and all that, and how to do that stuff. All this stuff, him and John Hanna have great input on helping me work through this stuff.
Do they have any experience with sales tax?
Sales tax? Yeah, he has a lot of experience with it.
Gonna get him a desk in the office.
Like I said, if there's a guy just renting a hangar out there, I wouldn't even consider this, but he really does a lot out there. It saves the town from having to do
Well, I'm
that.
just trying to save you on the sales tax. That's
Yeah, yeah. He's going to help us with sales tax to figure it out, because we're using Lake Placid model to help us figure it out.
So in your notes, you say that it's $1,200 a
Yeah, I
month.
said it wrong, didn't I?
So is it $1,200 a month or $1,200 a year?
$1,200
Per year.
$1,200 per
Yeah,
year.
my dyslexia is kicking in here.
Obviously,
Matt corrected me before
obviously
you-
you're not Irish. So
Matt corrected
we
me
won't
before
give
you
that.
started. I was trying to get a little more money. You didn't even realize it, but
Jets in there.
yeah.
Do we have a resolution to extend that contract?
I'll make it.
Well, what are you doing?
Excuse me.
A resolution to extend the lease?
I'm going to read what I have here.
Okay.
I request the town of Ticonderoga to extend the rate of $1,200 per year for another 5 years.
That's your resolution.
That's my resolution.
Do we have a second?
I think I made it, didn't I?
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I guess I have another question. Is there, how will having a refueling station affect this or this affect that?
It doesn't, it actually works off it, and actually Ernie will be there helping us with that too, as far as filters and maintaining it and making sure it's running right. He does all that. Nice thing is, we don't pay him. That's really nice. He hasn't caught on to that yet, but we're working on it.
Thank you.
The fuel station will attract more transient aircraft. And it's going to be, the revenue generated goes directly into the town account. To me, it's a no-brainer. The fuel station will be primarily paid for by the grant.
Yes.
So we've got no, as the town, we've got no outlay there at all, and other than actually filling the tank for the first time.
5% matching we can do in ground and the works around, and we can do that in work, so that's right.
Once we fill the tank, and the aircraft comes in, and they pump their own fuel, swipe their credit card, the money goes straight to the town.
So I really don't know anything about this, so how much is a gallon of airplane fuel?
I got gas.
Changes weekly.
Oh, was it
Yeah,
$10?
it's just like, it's like the gas that you put in your car. It changes frequently, but
Right.
it's in the $5 to $6 range right now.
And from that, how much would the town make? How much
See,
is,
that's
That's what we have to figure out.
oh,
That's the thing, but here's the common misconception of a lot of people. People tell me all the time, well, gee, for 30 cents a gallon, how much are we gonna get? 30 cents a gallon profit, how much are you gonna make?
A
Well,
lot.
the markup on a gallon of aviation fuel is closer to $1 a gallon. So, if we put 5,000 gallons, let's just say for ease of figuring, of aviation fuel in that tank, when that tank is dry, we're going to have pretty close to a $5,000 profit. So it's well worth it. Any of the airports around that sell fuel will tell you that it's one of their major sources of income, as opposed to your standard service station that we all worked at when we were kids. They used to say, well, the gasoline profit will pay the light bill, and that's about it. That's not the case here.
thank
And
you.
all the hard calculations and all are going to fall on Tanya, so we'll take her to do it. We're going to have nothing to do with it.
I just didn't have any idea what numbers we were talking about. Thank you.
Well, just to give you an example, we did some work with this on the airport committee. Taking Lake Placid as an example. Lake Placid sells 40,000 gallons of aviation fuel every year. Half of that, though, 20,000 gallons, goes to the Adirondack Flying Service airplanes. So take that out of the equation. So they sell the other 20,000 gallons to airplanes that are based there on the field, or that are transients that stop in for the weekend, get fuel, and go home. Lake Placid does have more activity than we do. So if you try to interpolate, if they're selling 20,000, if we even sold 10,000 gallons, we'd be looking at a pretty good profit off from a venue that's up to now hasn't produced much at all in the way of funds for the town. So I think it's going to be pretty important to us.
Any further discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Thanks, Ernie.
Mr. Taylor isn't here. Do we have a highway report?
I guess. What he sent me isn't good. Need a magnifying glass to see it.
That's the wrong one.
Yep, you're right. Let's try another. This looks more like it. Present, Wayne Taylor, Fred Hunston, Mike Parent, Farliezzo, Carla Viglotti, and John Deming. Others, Dave Juliano. Minutes of April 29th, 2014 minutes were approved by the town board on May 8th, 2014. People wishing to speak, none. Revenue expense report. Wayne has taken a lot of heat in regards to the garbage pickup. We do not have any numbers as far as the impact on the budget. As per Mike, we have collected approximately 500 tires and 2.5 trailers of garbage and an unknown amount of refrigerators, freezers, and air conditioners. Wayne discussed the budget transfer that is in the agenda for the physical meeting to transfer $100,343 from DA 5130.2002 to DA 5130.400 for equipment repairs. As per Mike, we are limited as to the repairs that can perform at the highway garage, as we do not have the necessary equipment and tools to do the job. Each year we have less and less money to work with. By the way, that was dropped from 100,000 down to 50. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. All other business. The paving bids will be open on May 28th. Were open on May 28th, 2014. So far, we have received one bid from Peckham. The the DEC November from 2013 work will resume in June and July. The chemical removal project has received a number from the EPA, and we are now able to continue this project. The radio license has been rejected for the second time from the Canadian government. Two-Way has resubmitted the application with a few changes. Wayne has questioned the cost for this license. We will get an update estimate from Two-Way Radio. We have been awarded $16,957.63 for extreme weather recovery. We will use these funds for Wiley Street repairs. We have been awarded $140,485 from the CHIPS program. We will be repairing Warner Hill and Treadway Street. John Deming discussed the base of Warner Hill Road. Wayne discussed putting a permanent weight limit on the Warner Hill Road. Farley explained that it is not just log trucks that are doing the damage to the roads, but the garbage trucks as well. Performance bonds may be the way to go. Wayne will contact the Association of Towns for guidance. Wicker Street, especially at the Maple Fields intersection, is in need of repair. Fred Hunston Sr. will make a call to the state, which I did, and got no response. John has spoken to the owner of the property at the Sagamore turnaround, and she is willing to give an easement, but is questioning the type of material that will be used. The new highway garage is needed, and Mike feels can be built for under $1 million. We currently do not have any money budgeted for the new building. The community building parking lot needs to be marked off, and John Reel will be working on this project with us. Excuse me. The NCCC walkway has been reviewed by Mike and John, and it will be a 5-foot wide gravel based with stone dust on top. Wayne will be contracting Tom Dahlback in regards to the easement request on his property on Colonial Heights for the drainage. Mike does not have the time to cut the trees at the airport. Wayne requested that we put it in writing. We need more aid for local infrastructure. We need support from the county. We may need to carry over the 20,000 for sidewalks to add to the 2015 to work on Lake George Avenue sidewalks. The 2008 Bellows sidewalk tractor replacement was discussed. Mike would like to go back to the Bombardier. Essex County Highway Superintendent Association meeting. The next meeting is on Wednesday, May 28, 2014 at 11 o'clock. Next scheduled meeting, the Highway Committee. Next meeting is scheduled for June 24, 2014 at 12 p.m. Adjourned, the Highway Committee adjourned at 1:26 p.m. Respectfully submitted by Carla J. Bigelotti, clerk.
Any questions or comments?
I've straightened my eyeballs.
I have a couple. The negotiations with, I'm not sure who, John, in the second part of the negotiation as to the college walkway and whatnot. I met with Mike and the department head at the college about that walkway, and I met with Dr. Tyrell about that. I don't know what plans they're making. The layout is not final, and I believe it should come back into the realm of the town and the college that put this together before it goes any farther forward, so that we're all on the same page. I'd like justification from someone as to why we're going to spend the sum of money that a Bombardier sidewalk plow takes versus other types, not the same brand, but similar mechanical pieces that can be purchased for a third the money. And the parking lot across the way is a property negotiation between the town and Mr. Reel, not the highway department and Mr. Reel. The highway department is going to be utilized to do some of the work, but they are not authorized to do the negotiation and the transfer of the properties. And if they want to do that, they should get in touch with the town board to find out what our intent is, because we haven't even discussed it, other than the fact that it's a possibility of doing it that way.
Just for your information, Mike was out there the other day laying something out.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
He talked to me about that, and he also gave me an idea, just presented me with a sketch of the size of the parking lot. And I haven't had a chance to digest it enough to bring it to the rest of the board to have a reasonable discussion as to how big we want to make that parking lot. I mean, every 2 spaces you add to the parking lot adds cost to it. And we've got to, what's the need for parking out there? I think we have an obligation to put in 6 spaces. And I got a proposal, I think it was for 28. Somewhere we got to get on the same page. And it doesn't seem to be happening.
Many years ago, at R&B doing our work on the trucks at the highway department, and the highway department decided that was too expensive, and they went with a mechanic, okay? Now the highway department has decided that the mechanic, after many years, doesn't have the right tools and the right equipment, and they want to go back to a private contractor doing the work. Then does he get rid of the mechanic when he does that? Or how does that work, Fred?
Well, right now, that mechanic, I don't know, I can't tell you the percentage, but he has his own truck, he hauls with that truck, he plows with that truck. I don't know, I can't tell you the percentage that he works on the vehicles and the percentage he puts in the truck, but
Is that why mechanic work can't be done? That he's on a truck instead of doing what he needs to do? I mean,
that's part of it. But the other part is, like I say, they don't have all the tools and everything, and the new equipment takes these computers and everything to actually work with on the truck. You can put the diagnosis in the computer, you know, and it'll tell you where to look and what to do and this and that and everything, because of all the sensors they've got on them today and things. So that's a good question.
I know with the buses, they bought a computer.
Mhm.
I don't know how much a man and healthcare and retirement and everything costs, but I'm sure it's not as much as a computer. So, you know, I'm just trying to figure this out. It seems like we got a man in there that was hired for something, and they're gonna do away with that position. What is the man doing? That's the question.
Mhm.
You know, we were at that where we were subcontracting, and they decided it was too much money. They didn't want to do that. So we keep going back and forth. And you know.
I agree with you, Dave. But what we're going to have to do is, or somebody is sit down with Mike and find out what the heck's going on. Because, like you say, we hired a mechanic and he's put on a truck. I would be guessing to say at least 75% of the time he's on a truck. So you take 25% of that time.
That's a CSEA violation. Are we being, it's the town being put at risk?
You know, real Ripnica, the fellow we bought the last 2 trucks from, lives in Hague. Great guy. Have you guys sat down and talked to him about these computers, about this labor, about mechanics? Because he owns Western Star, he lives in Hague, he's a great guy. Have you, Mike, maybe brought him in and said, hey, we need some, what would you suggest? You know, can you bring a computer up every once in a while to go through our trucks? Or just talk to the man. He lives here. I mean, he's from Hague.
Give me his name, and I'll...
Neil Ripnica. I can't pronounce the last name. I can get it for you, though. I can get his number.
Okay.
Great guy. Great guy.
I'll talk to him.
He owns Western Star.
And I'll also try to meet with Mike, with him, as far as that goes.
He might be able to help us. He's, you know, at least give us some guidance. That's what he does. He sold us the last 2 trucks. I think he would help us out. He's very appreciative of us buying the trucks from him. He's told me, so. I'm just altering your thoughts, that's all.
That's fine. Is that something wrong with CSEA? Is that a problem?
You can't
comment.
Okay. Okay.
I believe there's an issue if you're working someone out of title.
That's, yes, I know what you're saying,
That's-
exactly. But just how much you can go and what what it is,
I know it's less than 50%. But I
Okay.
think it's more like,
well, I would have to...
it's a small amount.
Yeah, I would have to know exactly, the percentage that he is, but,
You need to know his exact title.
Yeah. Well, he's got his own truck, I assume.
He's an MEO, he's a mechanic equipment.
So he's not a mechanic.
It's
MEO is more,
Motor operator?
it's different. He has a different title
Motor
than the rest of the
equipment.
people up there.
okay.
Wo-
But I'm just saying, we need to figure out his
You got
title.
motor equipment operators,
Exactly.
and then you got
Yeah, I can't remember.
MEO's motor equipment operator, and he's different than that. He has a different job description.
I think it's slash mechanic right now.
It's not slash, it is.
No, he's hired as a mechanic. We didn't want to
It's-
pay
He
him
has,
the same.
if you've seen him more, I've got it on my desk, and I can't tell you off the top of my head what it is.
Okay.
But he has a different title and different job description. And the percentage that you work out a title is quite small before you can run into an issue if somebody wants to take it forward. And I don't want to see the town get hung out to dry.
Yeah, I'm only guessing at the percentage.
Yeah.
I do not know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know in the wintertime he plows and everything, so.
I know. That's my concern. Human Services.
Oh. Again, didn't you?
Hit you again, Fred.
Yeah, which one? Seniors or juniors?
Take your pick.
Well, I got seniors in my hand.
Okay.
Meeting was called to order at 1 PM by Acting President Cora O with a salute to the flag of our country. There were 13 members present. Guest speaker Chetty Van Wert, or guest present, sorry, Chetty Van Wert and Fred Hunston, town board members. June Curtis was guest speaker. The meeting was opened with a moment of silence to honor Jan Putnam. Old business. Ann explained that the importance of having contact information and asking you to give her a close friend or relative to notify in case of something should happen. It should be someone other than a spouse. I reported we are working on obtaining monies to make a handicap entrance to the ACAP dining room. The town is working on removing a fuel tank that DEC has asked the town to remove and put the fuel inside where it can be inspected monthly, and in the space where the fuel tank was made 3 handicap parking spaces. Activity report, trying to get Yankee game put together. Anyone interested? Hatfield Tours has a Bridge of Flowers trip planned for the June 3rd, cost $49. It's in Shelburne Falls, MA. The senior citizen has an abundance of jigsaw puzzles books. They are free for the taking to anyone. Guest speaker June Curtis gave the seniors an inside view of what will be new and different at the farmers market this year. For farmers, some crafters, better parking, special programs of face painting, bake sales, and maybe an ice cream social. Saturday from June 5th, October 11th, 10 a.m. through 1 p.m. that day. Adjourned 1:55 p.m. Next meeting, June 18th at 1 p.m. at the Armory. Youth Committee meeting. Call the meeting to order at 5:09 p.m., May 12, 2014. Present was Tanya Thompson, John Bartlett, Dan Cross, and Fred Hunston. Discussed interviews for director, assistant director, and counselors, and background checks. Youth attended after-school programs from 4/22/14 to 5/08/14 was 85 youths. Little kids dance on 05/10/14. Attended was 46 kids. Closed the youth meeting at 5:47 p.m. Next youth meeting, June 16th at 5 p.m. at the Armory.
Questions or comments? Thank you, Fred. Public safety. That would be you.
That would be me. We met May 19th. We got a little bit early that month because of Memorial Day weekend. Whole slew of us there. It's in the minutes. Going to go right to guests wishing to speak. Stu Baker spoke a little bit about the portage. There was more talk about the parking there, and it ended up being left alone the way it is. Mark did some studies, took some pictures, and felt it was okay, so Stu was good with that. Dawn Millington came in and expressed concern about property on Algonquin Street with much household garbage. Are you going to speak about this later, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to skip that. Oh, thank you. Roger Nolfi came in and spoke about the parking situations on several streets around town, and this has come up quite a bit. Parking problems, he noticed, included vehicles parking on the sidewalks, parked facing in the wrong direction, and parking in the roadway blocking the lane. Trucks are also parking on the sidewalks and causing damage to them. Mr. Nolfi provided a copy of the proposed local ordinance he would like the board to consider, and that ordinance is attached if you'd like to see it. Code enforcement, Bill Ball provided the committee with a monthly activity report, what he's been doing, so he keeps pretty busy. We got him some help now, so hopefully that'll help him quite a bit. Bill and Supervisor Grinnell spoke about some of the property maintenance issues and mechanisms for the town to get reimbursed. You're going to speak about that, Bill? I'm just about done. I love this. Police Department, I'm sorry, Chief Johns asked, he was excused from this particular meeting. Patrolman Mascarenas came, we put him on a hot seat, we had some fun. He brought up a flaw associated with the local litter law. Some folks were talking about people putting garbage in other people's containers, and there's no law against it. So, it's kind of interesting.
That's got to be theft of service.
Yeah.
No. You can roll a car over with your tractor, that's legal, but you can't touch them for putting garbage in your container.
I'll talk to you after that.
Yeah, no, you can't do anything about it.
That wasn't an oversight.
Oh, was it? No, okay.
It was talked about in the past.
We did talk about the 2 vacant police positions, and I think when Mark speaks, he's going to talk about that, so hey, I had a great time here, thank you. Meeting was adjourned at 5:54 PM. Next meeting is sometime, I'm sorry. Next
Monday,
meeting is
June
June 30th at 5 PM. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Library Cable TV, Mr. Taylor is not with us this evening. Anybody have a,
You didn't ask me on that one.
okay?
I
I'm
don't
not on.
think there was a meeting.
That's right.
I
No, there was no meeting.
I don't believe there was either.
I come down, there wasn't any.
Board of Health, Coats Point has already been discussed. The Insurance Committee did not meet. Contract negotiations, we are in negotiations with the Sewer Water Department. They are moving forward, and we're going to be holding another session in the very near future. Report of department heads. Mr. Fuller.
All right, you want to
Here we go. I want you to know that we're on record time
Okay.
tonight. You can keep us there, you can blow it. It's up to you.
The certificate of occupancy part is back with the committee. You want to get together this month? Yes. And me drop an email.
Well, we're going to meet on the 30th.
Okay. I'll check the schedule at 5, right? It's in the afternoon.
Yeah, do you want to meet at 4:30, just the committee, or do you want to meet at 5 with everybody?
Let me check, I'll drop you an email.
Okay.
Sewer ordinances with Todd. He and I are going back and forth on comments. Unsafe buildings, I sent you a draft law and some resolutions and things. We're going to table that for right now, because later on here, we're going to take some action on one of them. I don't want to be in between laws,
Right.
so we'll leave that one.
I was going to suggest that to you.
Yeah. So, Thompson, 130 The Portage. This one's been on the radar for a while. I know Bill Ball has gone back and forth with the property owner a number of times. He's run a lot of things by me, and we're not getting any action. So what I've prepared and sent up in the report is a resolution along with a proposed order to order various things done. We commissioned an engineering report in the past. We had this on the radar back in December again. Nothing's been done, so I think the frustration level mounted a bit, and the property is just continuing to decline. I drove by it again on my way up, and it's certainly in rough shape. So what we've got is the resolution that I sent up to you, along with the, okay, resolution authorizing a service of notice upon property owner regarding the mandate of repair or removal of the building located at 130 The Portage, Town Ticonderoga, County of Essex, and further ordering the removal of the building located at 130 The Portage, Town Ticonderoga, should the property owner fail to comply with the order. And again, as we've done in the past, we'll briefly review the resolves. Now therefore be it resolved that based upon the contents of the report, whereby the subject dwelling was found to be structurally unsound in a state of imminent failure and the potential exists for additional collapse, the town board hereby orders its repair. The same can be safely repaired or its demolition and removal. And be it further resolved that a formal notice be served upon the title owners of the property located at 130 The Portage, being Stephen J. Thompson and Betty J. Thompson, whose last known address on record with the town is 449 County Route 56, Ticonderoga, New York. And be it further resolved and such notice be served in accordance with Section 6 of Local Law 1 of the year 1978, and be it further resolved that removal does not commence within 30 days of the date hereof, as provided for in Section 7 of Local Law 1 of the year 1978, or unless good cause is shown at the town board hereby authorizes and directs town supervisor of the town of Ticonderoga to formally submit an application of a special term at Supreme Court for an order to secure, demolish, and remove the building, and be it further resolved that all expenses incurred in connection with the proceedings shall be assessed against the land on which the building is located and levied and collected in the same manner as a special ad valorem levy, and be it further resolved that this resolution take effect immediately. And based on that, what I've done is I've put together an order, again, pulled out of the resolution that recites the activities that must take place, along with Bill Ball's report and the engineering review. It's in your packet as well from AES showing the condition of the property. So with that, if it's the board's pleasure, we can move forward. I don't know if you want to have the police department or somebody serve this. Whoever we're going to have do it, I would just need an affidavit of service after, so that we've got that for the file in case we do need to go and proceed with the order to show cause. But I think the town's been pretty cooperative. And, you know, it's not the last one on the list, but it's the start of addressing some issues.
It's my position that these burned out hulks have been given every opportunity to do the right thing, and they have all walked away from it. The business I was in makes me aware of certain things that pertain to insurance policies and whatnot that tell me that just about every insurance policy that is in existence today, as far as a residence or building, has a demolition clause in it, where the owner receives money when the case is settled, when the insurance case is settled, to either repair or remove the building. The fact that that money is gone or not available to the owner at this time is their issue, not ours. Our issue is the safety of the town residents. I know there's kids going into this building. It's been reported twice in the last 6 months that I'm aware of. And that, to me, is not acceptable. And that's why I've been pushing Mr. Ball and Mr. Fuller to get these properties torn down. Get them cleaned up. This is our town.
If somebody wants to move in, second that.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Mark, is that something we could get served?
Are we part of separated, we would not being part of the action?
Yeah.
Hopefully then absolutely.
Okay. I already have a copy of this, so that is the copy that can be served. So I'll get that started. The wells. It's been on the radar. We had negotiated last year with Mrs. Doring, everybody probably knows, concerning her property. Did we want to address that now, or is that going to be dealt with at committee? We still have an option that's sitting there that we didn't exercise, meaning we didn't even sign it. The understanding was if the Sawyer property didn't work out, or the test wells didn't work out there, that this would pretty much not be used. So it's just sitting there unsigned by the town.
Leave it unsigned.
I know Mrs. Doring has indicated that she has a buyer available for a portion of that property.
What we can do is, if you want, we can deal with it at committee later in the month, and then you've got the meeting right after.
All right?
We keep putting it on the agenda, but if somebody has an option sitting on their property and they sell it, it's not recorded or anything, so it's not a huge title issue, but it can monkey up their title if a buyer later found out. that-
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
And I would agree, it was difficult to get to where we got.
Oh, this was tough all the way through.
Yeah.
With Dorian. That's why we ended up with Sawyer.
Yeah, we should.
We could never
keep
get
it
this
tied
thing
up.
hammered out, so.
We don't want to tie up somebody's property if we don't need it. I guess would be my opinion to you. Okay.
I
we'll
would
do
spend
that.
220,000 because we couldn't get an entrance and all secured. It's frustrating.
On the highway with the DEC and the rest of the cleanup, we're still waiting to hear back. Actually, just as we were sitting here tonight, dropped another email out to Scott Abrams and the DEC. It's been a couple weeks since I've heard from him, so I'll keep pushing that because, I mean, we're in June. We're going to run out of daylight in the season to get that done. I really wanted to have it moving in July into August when it's hopefully a little drier. Airport fueling's already been on the radar. Who's going to collect sales tax? I'll just leave that there.
Yeah.
Don't start pumping fuel without collecting sales tax.
Yes.
I'm in those lawsuits right now. GIGP grant, we already dealt with that. Water sewer, we did send out a letter to E1 pumps on that stuff, so
Yes.
we'll see what kind of response we get on that. Coates Point, we dealt with, the service contract is all done. The other thing Tracy had asked me for is, and then Derek followed suit pretty quick after, is a water and sewer service connection application. So you've got the zoning and planning applications that are still sitting out there that we need to deal with, but we'll put on there, I'm going to just tailor one of those and make a water and sewer application to coordinate amongst all of it, so that when somebody comes in to see Bill Ball, he can have this down, okay? Build a new house, are you connected to water, yes or no? If it's no, you need this application. You're gonna get septic, or you're gonna need to connect, boom. So that people don't end up getting building permits or things and coming at the last second to get a sewer permit, and knowing that they've got to connect to a force main or something like that. I think that's the nervous part, is projects happen without the sewer and water being reviewed. So we're gonna put that in. And the town speeds permit is still waiting with DEC. That's for the sewer plant. I'll sit back.
Very good. Chief Johns.
As you mentioned, Supervisor Grinnell, the commissioners have had several meetings about the staffing level with the police department. As everyone knows, we are 2 officers down at this time. The commissioners asked me just to advise the town board as a whole about the procedures that we're going to be following in the near future. The positions of police officer are competitive civil service position, meaning that the only people the town of Ticonderoga can hire are currently employed police officers that were hired by another agency off the civil service list, or an entry-level candidate who appears on a civil service list for Essex County right now. That being said, we did take a deputy sheriff who resides in Ticonderoga to fill our 3rd vacant full-time position, and she has started working for us within the last week. And there is on current civil service list, we do have a local gentleman who does appear on that local list. The commissioners asked me to start a background investigation on this individual to just make sure that he meets our criteria, that he's a viable candidate for an entry-level position if this town board does decide to put him through academy in late summer or early fall. And the commissioners just wanted me to, I'm not sure, ask permission or just advise the board that I'm going to be starting that process tomorrow by having him sign off on the necessary waiver forms so I can start looking into his history and his background. The other position that we have open, there's been quite a bit of local interest. There's very qualified young people in Ticonderoga that are interested in a career in law enforcement and a career with Ticonderoga Police Department. And we're really encouraging those applicants to take the civil service test that will be offered in November, because there's quite a bit of support in the community for maintaining the full-time staffing level of our department at the 7 full-time officers. And if we don't find a lateral transfer candidate, that we would potentially hire off the next list that is offered in November. The other thing that we discussed is it never hurts to just put another advertisement in the paper, and that would take a board resolution, that we are accepting applications for fully trained and EMT certified police officers who fit the qualifications for lateral transfer under this New York State Civil Service law.
Yeah, I suggest we advertise. I would suggest we put another advertisement up.
Making that resolution?
Is it a resolution or is it?
Okay.
Yes,
I'll second.
because if we can get a fully trained officer, we're not going to spend
Exactly.
that much of the town's money to train somebody.
Now, did they, okay, if fully trained can come from anywhere.
Yes, as long as they've been hired off of the civil service list in their current position.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do the advertisement.
And the only other thing I have to request permission for is travel authorization. I don't think I'm going to use it, but I just want to have it in case the schedule opens up in July. I received both a letter and a phone call today from the New York State Association of Chiefs of Police. They're asking that I make a presentation at the 2015 Chiefs Conference where all of the state chiefs come together and talk about some of the difficulties and the steps that we've done locally with mental health issues, mental health transports, and hospital-related issues. That they were quite impressed in previous discussions that I've had. They would like to sit with me at this year's conference, understanding that we're severely short-staffed and I might not be able to make it for this year's conference, but if my schedule does open up, I would like to travel to the Chiefs Conference this year for 1 or 2 days of a 3-day conference, if the town board doesn't have a problem with that. It is within the budget. There's a line item for training and conferences within the police budget.
Is the Warren County chief there?
No, the sheriffs are invited.
We were going to give you a letter. I don't have an issue with it.
Is that a resolution?
That's a resolution, yeah.
Resolution from Cedar Lake.
Okay, we'll let Chad get it this time.
Can we have a second, please?
I'll second.
There we go. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Unless the board has any questions for me, that's all I have.
How about you want to report to July road closure?
I was going to call you this afternoon because I remembered that at the last minute. Can we get that through at the financial meeting 2 days before?
I'd like to get it, you don't know off the top of your head. Okay, I just wanted it on camera, the closures that we do every year for the 4th of July, which takes a board resolution to temporarily close the roads.
It's no parking resolution.
No, pardon, I'm sorry. Yeah.
At the monthly financial meeting, we will be asking for some special no parking areas that help facilitate traffic flow on the 4th of July. They're primarily on Tower Avenue, Burgoyne Road, and Campbell Path, which get, if we have vehicles parking on both sides of those roads, it makes it impossible for traffic to move on those roads.
Question, would they be the same as last year?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we take last year's resolution?
You can, but I just don't have the specifics. You can.
If we make the resolution to close roads for the 4th of July as per the 2013 resolution pertaining to the closure of roads and no parking for the 4th of July.
I have a question. Is the Tower Avenue Bridge construction going to be going on by then? And will that affect traffic at all?
I don't believe so.
No? When's that going to
I
start?
think it's going to start end of July, 1st of August. Real doing the job.
So you need a resolution for that?
I'll make the resolution. Can somebody second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah. I mean, mean, we just have to announce that they are actually Tower, Berkowayne, and Cannonball, and I post it throughout.
Yeah, but this will let you do it now. you know.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it on camera, so.
Yeah, that's good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. Even if you did chop my legs off from under the cut me off at the knees, without resolutions and the proper etiquette.
He does it so much, she doesn't know
Robert's
what she's
rules
doing.
of-
I was asking him to do it.
She's a natural now.
No, that's all right. We'll let it go. Anything else, Chief?
No, sir.
Very good. Town clerk.
There was brought to the attention of personnel that page numbers were incorrect on the new employee handbook. It does not change any wording, it does not change any title, it does not change any chapters. But I just want to make everybody aware, it was brought to her attention that page numbers have been now corrected. Doesn't need a resolution, because nothing else has, no pertinent information has been changed in that. I got another list of surplus items at the last minute. If I can read those off, and then I need a resolution to declare them surplus, which is, I believe for the water department, a Stihl TS 760 AV cutoff saw that does not run with a walk-behind cart and water tank, a home light gas-powered air blower and discharge hose, a lockable job box for tool storage. It's 30 inches by 48 inches by 30 inches deep, a parts cleaner bin, a diesel pump and nozzle, a 200-gallon plastic storage tank, which was used for chlorine, a 150-gallon plastic storage tank, which was used for chlorine, and a plate tamper. So those are items for surplus. These are additional items to declare surplus, and then I'm going to go for bids.
I'll make that resolution.
We have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so in saying those, I would like to put those out to bid along with previous items of equipment that has been given to me, a 97 N8F dump truck, a 99 Sterling L750 dump truck, a 99 Sterling L9511 dump truck, an 89 Ford Tandem dump truck, a Buyer's Product Salt Dog SHPE 1500 plastic sander, a 97 Ford 350 dump truck with green dump box and plow, a tow-behind York rake, 2 275-gallon tanks that held diesel fuel only, an HP printer, LaserJet, and the 2005 Ford pickup truck with plow with a reserve bid of $5,000 on that.
Take that one off. I want that, put some hours off the cemetery.
We'll spend some of your budget money.
No.
Okay.
So that's the list I have compiled, if somebody wants to, if it's all right for everybody, they all agree. Because you expressed interest in those tanks too. The 2 275-gallon fuel tanks that held diesel fuel only. You said you wanted them for the armory, but I never heard anything else about them.
I said I wanted them for the army?
Yeah, a year ago.
Oh, you're scaring me.
You don't want them. What would I do with them?
Are you,
Play with them or-
you really don't think it would make sense to utilize that pickup for your beautification crew that uses it now?
You're not gonna sell that thing. I'll buy it for what it's worth when you're done playing around.
We're putting the reserve of $5,000 on it. We'll see what we get.
It's rusted.
We can reject them if he
I can
finally
find something
decides to get
cheaper
off
to
the
throw
top.
stuff around.
Okay.
They need a truck.
The plows were 3.
Huh?
The plows
They don't
were
use
3.
They don't plow.
Yeah, they don't want the plow.
But whoever is buying it might.
Okay.
and then buy it.
But so, why don't we just put the plow
Just saying.
and not the truck?
It's up to you. We can do it all right now as is. We can reject them. If we don't like, if nobody hits the reserve, or if he finally comes up with an intermunicipal thing that he wants to do, and then we can later put the plow out for bid because we know they're not going to use them. It's-
So the reserve is on the truck with the plow, or
Yes.
just the truck?
The truck with the plow.
The brass is 6 inches where you park the last bulkhead, and for some reason, you sold my
The
truck.
pound alone is worth it.
I'm giving you every opportunity to take that baby.
And then some.
So can we put a higher reserve on that? Does that help?
Well, you got to
Just
kind of go by
separate.
fair market.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think 5 is adequate. I think it's fair.
For the truck and the plow together?
I think it's fair.
Because your plow is roughly, what, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,500, for some reason there, depending on how good it is and so on.
Any further discussion?
nobody-
Oh, we need a motion.
Oh, I'll make a motion.
You have a second?
Not me.
I still don't get why we would, if we're using the truck. It
Because
seems,
Dave's too cheap to take the money out of his budget.
We can't just use it for beautification. It's a water department truck, so there has to be some kind of exchange. He
right,
doesn't want to do that.
but it seems to me that we stand this, if somebody comes along and wants to pay that, then it's gone,
That's right.
and
We'll have, the $5,000 will go to the water department.
For their new-
And if Dave feels the need for a truck for his beautification crew, he'll have to find one for less than $5,000.
so why don't we just
Substantially.
separate the two? Put the plow in for 3,000 and keep the truck for,
If you're gonna sell a plow truck, I think you'd be farther ahead to have the plow truck together, personally.
If you and I vote no to these bids, they can't go, and we keep our trucks, so. It's pretty easy, Chad. Just vote it
If it doesn't,
That's his.
down. All we gotta do is vote no.
we aren't playing George Moore. That's not
We got
happening.
our truck.
That's not happening.
I love it.
Okay.
We are not playing George Moore at Ticonderoga. They may play that in Elizabethtown, but it's not getting played here.
Private meeting for hiring.
I don't remember getting a second on this at all, though.
No, you didn't.
We have it.
I know, I'm trying to push it.
So are we not going to bid on any of our surplus equipment?
You can take it up, we can take that off there.
let's take the truck and plow
You guys
off
can
until
talk
the
about
fall. Until we've got.
You
to-
can't just use another department's truck.
Oh, okay.
It's been declared surplus. If it's gonna go to, if it's surplus, it goes with the rest of the surplus items, I would think.
Or it's gonna be at the water department, because it's their truck, their surplus.
Yeah, you
They've
can't
just been nice about letting everybody else use it. Highway all winter long, vacation all. We can reject them too, you know, you guys can talk about this Tuesday, at your buildings and grounds, parks and rec meeting. Decide if you really want to take it.
Yeah, I can't decide.
But you can still reject.
$5,000 truck. I mean, I asked the whole board about spending $4,000 for God's sakes, and you're saying just spend 5, no big deal.
I'm not
That's
saying
procurement at
spend
that point. That goes into a bid thing at that point.
No, because it's an intermunicipality.
Over there.
So do they have another vehicle?
Yes, they had a vehicle. They got this truck last year and they started using 2 trucks and it did help.
Okay.
You know, Anya doesn't care if the grass is mowed. It's okay.
I've told you right along, they need another truck. They need this truck. You got the purse strings.
There's procedures that have to be followed. And I would think we would be the first ones that would want to follow it.
I'll have to check my budget to see if I have $5,000 for that truck.
You do.
I don't know that.
Well, then you should spend a little more time reviewing your numbers. I do, because I spend time reviewing everybody's numbers.
You have to fire 3 lifeguards to buy a truck, that doesn't work.
Let's talk about, get it out there.
We might take a councilman's salary or two to get there, but, yeah, that's,
So how you doing, John? You're really extending this meeting, Bill. You should get this done.
You're seconding, Bill?
can I second?
Sure you can.
Yeah.
I second. Any further discussion? This is gonna get really interesting.
Yeah.
Can I vote twice? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
I guess I have to abstain. I don't know.
Well, there's not enough votes to carry, so it doesn't
It's
matter.
not enough votes, it's not a majority, so we,
It's not a majority unless it's all of a sudden.
Now, pull the truck
Oh,
out
it has, if
and
I,
redo it.
We can.
We have to
You
have
wanna
3.
bring that?
Now, pull the truck out of it and redo it, we'll get the rest of the stuff
You can
sold.
still, you can still reject the bids when it comes in. If you've decided next week at your meeting that you do want to actually buy that truck, and we get bids on it, you can reject them.
we can reject the bids, and that would be something that would be a conscious,
how can you, if the reserve is met, can you reject that bid?
Sure you can.
For what
Go
reason?
back to bid.
For what reason?
You don't have to have it. It reserves the right to waive the formalities and reject any and all bids when deemed in the best interest of the town to do so.
Why would you do that to somebody?
That's your,
Either sell it or don't sell it. I wouldn't play that game with somebody.
I don't opine on those things.
Yeah.
You ask me, can you? Yes. Should you?
No,
That's why you guys get the big ones.
no. What's wrong?
That's why it says in our advertisement, that you can reject any or all when deemed in the best interest of the town. If the best interest is to keep that truck,
What is the best interest?
The county of Essex right now is looking at a legal situation over an auction that was just held. They could
that's an
get,
auction.
that's a bid
Yeah.
given,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
okay?
But that's an open auction. These are sealed bids that we're taking. They're two totally different things.
When do you do this? When do you do this? When do you do this?
Well, I would like to get the bids out there and hopefully get them before the next board meeting.
We're not offering for sale, we're offering for bid.
Right.
The difference with an auction is you are actually offering for sale. So that's offering acceptance, it's just contract law. So right now, you're not offering for sale, you're offering for bid, so you could get a bid for $100 on one of those dump trucks, and you could say no.
Which we have.
You're not
Because we would
obligated
get
to
more for
accept
metal
that.
than
Just a,
we would.
I see where you're heading, but just slightly different.
This truck has 100-some-thousand miles.
Well, why would we put a reserve on it to start?
To let people know. That's the only reason for a reserve.
That's
Again,
up
this
to you
auction
guys
is
too.
different.
That's absolutely up to you guys.
Yeah, you don't have to have a
reserve on
reserve.
it. Or you can pass another resolution right now with everything else and take that truck out and discuss it some more.
You sell that truck, you hurt the town. You sell that truck, you hurt the town.
So we'd rather it sit there.
well, it's not sitting, it's being used.
But it should,
No.
So they're gonna take it down and park it?
probably not, because they're not like that.
I know. We just bought them a new pickup. They should be.
Oh, beautification.
All right, so it's done. I mean, you've voted it down. What do you want to do now? Scrap the whole thing?
Just give me a week to talk to my committee.
Pull the truck
All I'm
out.
asking.
You want to pass a resolution to pull the truck out?
Right.
In a week, I'll know, and then you can do what you want. But let me
Well,
talk to the
and then-
committee.
But that puts the whole thing off.
Yeah, and
You can sell that anytime, can't you?
yes, the truck, that's what I'm saying, pull it out now.
Yeah,
Pass
you can
the
sell
rest
that
of
truck
the
anytime,
resolution.
Bill.
Pass everything else and pull the truck out. And at your financial meeting,
Pull
if
it
you
out.
decide, then we'll...
Let's do it.
Let's
Seriously,
do that, yeah.
let me think about this. Look at the truck, talk to the guys from the sewer department and see if they think it's gonna hold
Make
up.
sure you get it on your phone so you don't forget about it.
Are you bringing the resolution to put them out to bid, pulling the truck out?
Yes, I am.
2004 truck
I
out.
move
Do we
that.
have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think
All in favor?
Lincoln's screaming like hell over there.
Opposed? All in favor?
I said,
Okay, opposed?
Baby over.
Holy moly. You have interfund advances per general municipal law to be adopted for abstract assist 6 of 2014. First is from general to CP Thai Airport, $283.50. Be reimbursed with grant monies. Second, from general to John Street Sewer Stormwater Separation Project, CD 17, $18,517.26. They'll be reimbursed with grant monies. And the last is from general to GIGP Daylight Streaming Grant, H49, $4,729.97, and they will be reimbursed with grant monies also.
I move we accept.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The last thing that I have is back at your financial meeting, I had the board pass a resolution, number 178, 2014, to authorize a prepaid to reimburse Tim Benedict for money for a building permit that he purchased. Zoning Board of Appeals held a meeting last night. They granted him permission for a use variance, so I am not going to issue him his money back because he never gave us the building permit back anyway. So I just want to let you guys know that. That's all about, that's all I have.
Okay. Few items left. I'd entertain a motion to authorize proclamation to Matthew Cook, the young gentleman that built a pavilion at the beach, attained the rank of Eagle Scout, and quite an outstanding young man.
Yeah, I second that. I think it's seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'd like another resolution of congratulations for Jay Hebert, who won not only the Division II sectional, or Division II New York State title in the 110-meter hurdles, but for the third time, but for the second time, third or fourth. I'm not sure. But he won it again, multiple times. And he also won the Federation level race, which is every high school in New York State,
It's good.
in 110-meter hurdles. Quite a special young athlete, among other things.
Nice kid.
All in favor?
You're doing,
Aye.
Or, I'm sorry,
you're doing a
second.
proclamation for him too?
Yeah,
Okay.
I make a motion.
motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to report on the efforts by our codes department and our police department. We're making a concerted effort to clean up some properties in the town that have long needed it. And the reason I say long is because it's got to be a long time to accumulate the amount of garbage that has been accumulated at these places. It's a health issue. We've got letters from Mr. Gabler addressing it, our health officer, and it's got to be addressed. There've been several citations issued. Some of them are going to be issued for court appearance, and we're going to stay after it until it gets done. It's not going to go away, and it's just the way it's going to be.
May I ask, the letter from Mr. Gable, where does that go? Now that we received that, we understand there's a health issue, how does that move forward? Because
That will be, right now, that will be utilized by the codes officer
Okay.
when he orders the cleanups. And it will impact, should impact what, if it goes before the judge, it should impact the judge's decision, and we've got picture evidence, we've got, you know,
That's
we're
a-
trying to cover all our
That's a
bases.
health issue, right? That goes to
Absolutely.
Essex Department of Health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a number of them.
Yeah,
I mean, we're,
I agree.
you know,
Yeah.
we aren't singling one or two or whatever. There's a number of them. They're well documented. Dave mentioned that we're addressing the electric in the park, the issues with that. Should have at least one more estimate tomorrow, hopefully two. But there's another item that's come up, the AED devices. They're a heart rhythm device. I can't think of the proper name for it, but
Automatic defibrillator.
yeah. The question arose of whether we should have one of these devices at the beach. It is not required by law. It is not required by our insurance people. The insurance people would love to see it, provided we have properly trained people to utilize it, which the lifeguard personnel are properly trained. And Chatty has been working very hard with the Kiwanis, and they have made an offer to try and secure one for us, if we can tell them the type and style that we prefer to use.
Well, they said they would entertain doing that, and we could tell them. It wasn't, they didn't commit, but they wanted, first we needed to make sure that we wanted,
Right.
and then exactly what one would we recommend.
I would make a suggestion that we get the one that complies with our emergency squad, our Ticonderoga emergency squad, because once you put the pad on them, and it complies with that one, they can just use their machine, put it on that pad, and they'll replace your pad. Otherwise, they gotta take it all off and put theirs on, and so on and so forth. I went through this when I got one for the fire department, that's why I mentioned it.
Well, so going back a step, do we want one? Do we,
I would
That's
like
the
to
first
see
question.
one.
I would love to see it. I think it's a no-brain choice, that it's an ideal spot. You know, it could prove to be extremely important one day. Hopefully it never will, but it sure could.
You can ask the chief, they carry one all the time.
Yes, and if you would like the lifeguards to look at the one that we prefer, that we have in the trunk of every police car, we use them probably once every month, every other month that we are using them out in the field. We have a Zoll, and in a time of emergency, they're excellent because it gives you verbal instructions. It tells you if your chest compressions that you're making aren't going down hard enough. It really guides you through the process when your brain might not be working at its best during emergency situations. They are pricey. You're probably looking $700 to $1,000, but I would definitely recommend the Zoll, and I can show it to you.
Thank you, chief.
thank you.
Automatic electronic defibrillator.
Could we, do we need a resolution to have Chad go forward with that?
Okay.
We're, wait a second. So, do we need one at the Armory? Do we need one here? Do we need one, I mean, where does that go? I worry more about you than people at the beach, to be honest.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. The stress is.
I know.
The stress is unbearable.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, but, you know, seriously, I mean, where do you go with that? I mean, we should have one in every building. I mean, how do you do that?
Time,
Go ahead.
courtesy of the Florida.
John Bartlett, yeah.
Remember the proviso that you have to have trained staff to use them. They're no good if you don't have trained staff.
Yeah. And
I thought they were step by step how to use them.
I certainly don't want you handling a piece of equipment like that around me.
Just let
He's
them walk.
napping. Catch him while he's napping in the temple. Come on, baby.
It is quite simple, but you do have to go through the training before you really know exact procedure.
Start something.
Yeah. I've been trained many times on it, but it's still, like I say, it's a procedure that you should go through, and so you need training to know which step to go to next, and so on and so forth.
Okay, that's about all I have for tonight. I do have a couple quick items for executive session that pertain to negotiations.
Do we want to give the public a chance to speak?
And yes, we will.
I think
If there's anyone from the public that would like to participate, have anything else they want to say?
Dan, anything going on?
If not, I'll entertain a motion to go to executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody.